So, here we are on a tier 7 game in my Myoko. Oop, sorry about that, that was my phone. Go ahead and put that on silent. And I've spawned just about the middle of the team. And kind of looking around just to kind of see who's out there. And then I'm going to be heading over to the 8 to 7 line and kind of just keeping people from coming up through there. That was my plan anyways.
Battle starts.
At this point I'm just sort of waiting to see how my team's going to deploy, because I don't want to go over there and trying to deny an area by myself. Sometimes on this map you'll see the whole team basically lemming train all the way down to the 1 and 2 line, and essentially they just lose. The destroyers from the other team just run up and cap our base before we can get back and do anything about it. And I've decided, since most of our cruisers are going to the 1 and 2 line, but there's actually a battleship over where I originally wanted to go, I decided to stick with my initial plan. Now, a lot of times I'll be very hesitant to drive in this particular orientation or sail a ship in this particular orientation when there's enemy carriers, just due to the fact that the Myoko's spotting range, and you see I just got spotted there, is fairly high, in my opinion, for a Japanese cruiser.
Enemy force detected.
And as you can see, it's about an 8-kilometer spotting range for planes. And I was really worried right here that I might get shot at by a battleship, because it's typically what happens when you get spotted. So I kind of changed my course a little bit there, but now I know that there's definitely a destroyer somewhere within 12.7 kilometers of me. So I go ahead and launch my plane. Maybe I'll get lucky, spot any torpedoes that are coming at me, maybe even spot the destroyer. And right about here is where disaster strikes for me. Ah. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. Yeah. So my game crashed, I loaded back in. I really thought I was gonna get torpedoed by whatever destroyer was spotting me, but I didn't. So I loaded back into the game. Here I am. I basically continued in a straight line. And as you can see, this Fubuki behind me is probably going to get himself killed. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say the team charges down the 1 and 2 line and leaves your base completely wide open. This is essentially what happened. If I hadn't have crashed right there, I probably wouldn't have had my guns in the right place to even shoot it in. At this point I'm just kind of looking around, seeing how the battle's going. It looks like I'm going to be all alone over here. Looks like my team is probably going to go around to the 10 line, which is honestly, it's really only a place where maybe cruiser and destroyer should be going, because the battleships are so slow when they go over there. It completely takes them out of the fight for, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes, maybe even a little bit more depending on how slow it is. I did kind of spot a cruiser there for a second, so I figure I would fire some torpedoes and might hit a destroyer and get the cruiser coming around the corner. And oh, lo and behold, the Farragut decides to reveal himself, so I take a shot at him. I land quite a few shells. I light a fire on him, knock out his engine, and at this point he's in pretty rough shape. Then a Cleveland pops back Now, I'm actually going to switch targets here. I don't feel like that frigate is a threat to me at this point. I'm too far out of the spotting range. And there's not really anything he can do.
Enemy cruiser sighted.
And I am firing HE. I kind of felt like the angle this Cleveland was dealing with was maybe a little bit too steep, in my opinion. Reliable damage with AP.
Enemy cruiser detected.
And that's when he started softening his angle. I decided to switch over and see if I can get any good shots in on him. This was a little bit behind where I wanted to be shooting, but I still ended up getting the Citadel.
Enemy severely damaged. The ship is on fire.
And at this point I noticed that the Cleveland has run aground, or is going to,
Assault, sir.
so I decided to turn in. I switched back to HE because I felt like the angle that Cleveland was going to be at was going to be too harsh for my AP to do any damage. And lo and behold, he did not ground. He actually just formed a very tight turn. He's giving me a pretty good broadside. And this is when I see a Fubuki. And I felt like if he had fired torps, I would have been seen since my scout plane was directly in front of me. And the Cleveland got pretty lucky there. If he hadn't started turning out, that probably would have been the end of him. That was a pretty well placed shot. And I'm kind of slowing down right here because I'm thinking maybe that Fubuki shot torps at me. I just wanted to bleed off some speed. If I fired them at the indicator, they'd go past me in the front harmlessly. Now I switched back to HE. I do have a 20% fire chance with these guns and this captain. Plus the Japanese is pretty strong in general. And there we have it. I got 6 hits and 2 fires. I decided to keep firing at Cleveland since the boost cleared off my radar, but normally I probably would have switched targets right there. And there's the torpedoes that I was worried about. But it looks like they fired them at the Colorado and not me. This is where it gets a little hairy. I'm kind of unsure what to do here. There are 2 smoke screens in front of me. So I'm thinking, well, there's a frigate somewhere in the Fubuki that I spotted earlier. Probably in there. So at this point, I'm hoping that the Cleveland is just going to burn to death. I'm going to basically go kind of at a neutral angle towards one of these clouds and pop my sonar, or not my sonar, but my hydroacoustic. And that's when I spot the frigate. I'm not quite sure what he was doing. I know that he could see me coming, but that's going to be the end of him right there.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
Team has taken the lead.
Let's see, right as I popped my hydroacoustic there, you saw those torpedoes pop up. They were definitely aimed at me. It's unfortunate, but I don't think those destroyers quite thought I was going to be moving around as much as I was. I think about going in between those torps, and I decide, nah, it's probably safer to kind of sell the outside of them. Don't want to take any random torps. And this is the part of the match where it gets kind of scary for me. I'm in a really bad situation because I underestimated the amount of destroyers that were over here. I should have known by how many battleships we still had alive that they were probably over here, because I usually
Enemy destroyer sighted.
And that's when I spot this Fubuki. I think he's going to start moving forward because I see the smoke start coming out, but then looks like maybe he decided at the last second probably better to reverse. So I just catch his nose, and I knock out one of his torpedo tubes. And then we just kind of dance around this island for a little bit. I don't want to come around the corner, because I feel like he's probably going to have torps pre-aim there. And then this is where things get a little hairy, because, oh, there is a second Fubuki. I did not expect him to be there. Not at all. And this is one of the weaknesses of the Myoko right here. The turret traverse is just awful. The ship will outturn the turrets, even with expert marksmen. The 180-degree turret traverse time is like 45 seconds.
Our team has taken the lead.
It's just awful. And so a lot of times what I end up doing in my Myoko is I end up just using the ship to turn my turrets. Because really it's kind of the most effective way to get your guns on target, since they turn so incredibly slow. There we go. I'm not quite sure which way he's gonna go, but I felt like I led him pretty well. Oh my god, look at that dispersion. And this is pretty much gonna be the end of this destroyer right here. I'm actually turning in as being as neutral as possible. And then he kind of grounded himself out in that turn. He's a dead man.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
And then this Fubuki down here, just kind of spamming shots all over the place, because he was very neutral to me. I wasn't sure if he was going to turn left or right.
Enemy cruiser sighted.
And as you can see, he ended up going left. Instead of firing all my guns right there, I just kind of held fire because it was right there at that mountain. And this should be the end of this Fubuki. I feel like I placed those shots pretty well.
Enemy destroyer sunk.
Now, I know he probably didn't get any torpedoes off, and even if he did, they probably weren't aimed at me. And this is pretty much the end of this game. We essentially just are chasing down the enemy cruiser and carrier that are left. Now, I unfortunately didn't score a lot of damage. I got 4 kills. I basically killed all of the enemy's destroyers. For whatever reason, they were all on the 7 and 8 line. And the Myoko is not a very strong destroyer killer. I mean, the HE is strong on the ship, but the 15-second reload kind of, I don't know, cripples it in that area. Sure, you're great at taking on a destroyer one at a time, but if there's 2, even 3 destroyers, you're going to be having a bit of a hard time, especially if they're gunboats. Okay, and this particular match is just about over. I think that we actually end up capping here before we kill the carrier. No, it looks like we actually killed him, and that's what ended the match. Not a bad result. This was my first win for the day in this ship. I killed all the enemy destroyers. I didn't do that great of damage, but I was still on top just due to I guess how many kills I got. But wasn't that good of a result, but still pretty good.